Here in the United States, we know we need to get our fiscal house in order. The last administration ran up the largest peacetime deficit in our nation's history. The current administration is committed to fixing this. We are open to critique, but we will not abide the IMF failing to critique the countries that most need it, principally surplus countries. In line with its core mandate, the IMF needs to call out countries like China that have pursued globally distorted policies and opaque currency practices for many decades. I also expect the IMF to call out unsustainable lending practices by certain creditor countries.
Hey, what's going on, bull runners? Welcome back to the channel. What if I told you that right now the crypto market is dropping clues to massive opportunities, but only for those who act fast? Well, welcome to today's video where we break down what's hot, what's not, and how you can stay ahead of the game. Today, we've got 3 game-changing stories for you. XRP Futures are shaking up the entire market. A Trump meme coin is spiking like crazy, and Bitcoin ETFs are seeing inflows that are absolutely wild. But here's the problem. These markets move very fast, and if you're not paying attention, you could miss out on the next big wave. The good news, we're diving deep into these stories to show you why they matter and how you can position yourself to win. Plus, we will be jumping over to X to find out all the breaking news in the financial markets today. We will also be going over the Forex Factory calendar for the traditional markets, big red folder news today and the results. We will also be checking in on XRP in the charts, currently trading at $2.20. We're going to be looking at the current resistance and support levels for XRP. We're going to dive deeper into XRP futures. What are they and how to invest in them? Trump's special dinner for Trump coin holders and the Bitcoin ETF inflows that we've been following very closely. And so much more in today's video. So thank you for being here. And if you're like most people where you don't have the opportunity to spend hours a day in the crypto news, that's what we do here on this channel. We bring that to you in a condensed manner. So make sure you subscribe today. And if you're feeling bullish about this current bull run, let me know by commenting 777 down below. But first, let's take a look at the overall health of the crypto market today. The total market cap right now coming in at $2.92 trillion. Almost at that $3 trillion mark that we've been waiting for. We have broken up above the March 25th number, so we do have an official new higher high in the market. There is a possibility that we come down and get a new higher low to confirm the new market structure change. The next level that we need to break above is going to be this level here at $3.15 trillion. We did have $114 billion worth of volume in the last 24 hours. Fear and Greed Index coming in at 53. Yesterday was at a 52. Last week was at 30. So as you can see, it did dip all the way down in here into extreme fear on March 10th. Double bottom potentially here, April 6th. And now we are starting to surge to the upside. Now we are still sitting in Bitcoin season, altcoin season ranking 15 out of 100. And that is based on the absolute dominance by Bitcoin here. Bitcoin dominance coming in at 63.5%, up 2.88%. And we've got an article that we'll dig much deeper into, but I did want to show you this. As you guys know, if you've been here for a little while, I track this every single day for you guys. And make sure you subscribe if you like this type of information. But as we can see, this week has been a fantastic week to the upside for the Bitcoin ETFs. On the 20th, $381 million. Yesterday, nearly $1 billion, $912 million into the market, and then already reporting for officially yesterday's tally, $159 million. So when we zoom out and look at that on the yearly schedule, we can see this week has been a phenomenal week to the upside, $1.443 billion inflows into the Bitcoin ETFs. Now, this would be the second week in a row to the positive, to the upside. Not much last week, but it was positive, so we got to keep that in mind. But April 13th, the week of April 13th, up $11 million inflow. This week, up $1.4 million inflow. Why is that important? Well, we are starting to see market cap creep to the upside. We're seeing institutional inflow into Bitcoin. And last time we saw the institutional inflow into Bitcoin is when we had that extreme rally to the upside when Bitcoin reached 104,000. Then we had a lightening of volume, obviously, to the downside here. And along with that came the price to the downside as well. So we'll continue to follow this the rest of the week and also next week and the next week. We've noticed that the Bitcoin ETF tracker is a relatively strong indicator for the future price of Bitcoin. Top 5 trending coins according to CoinMarketCap today. Number 1 is Trump Coin. Number 2, XRP. Number 3, XCN. Number 4, Turbo. And number 5, SUI. Top 5 cryptos by total market cap. Number 1, Bitcoin at $1.8 trillion. Ethereum at $215 billion. Tether at $145 billion. And soon, XRP will surpass Tether again for the number 3 spot. But right now, number 4 at $128 billion. BNB at $84 billion. Solana creeping up on BNB here at $77 billion at number 6. As you saw in the intro, Scott Bessent is calling out China and other countries, saying we will not abide by the IMF failing to critique other countries that most need it. The IMF needs to call out countries like China and have persuade global distorted policies and opaque currency practices for many decades. I also expect the IMF to call out unsustainable lending practices by certain creditor countries.
China in particular is in need of a rebalancing. Recent data shows the Chinese economy tilting even further away from consumption toward manufacturing. China's economic system, with growth driven by manufacturing exports, will continue to create even more serious imbalances with its trading partners if the status quo is allowed to continue. China's current economic model is built on exporting its way out of its economic troubles. It's an unsustainable model that is not only harming China, but the entire world. China needs to change. The country knows it needs to change. Everyone knows it needs to change, and we want to help it change because we need rebalancing too. China can start by moving its economy away from export overcapacity and towards supporting its own consumers and domestic demand. Such a shift would help with global rebalancing that the world desperately needs.
So as the tariff war continues with China versus Trump, and also the Federal Reserve versus Trump with the actual interest rates, lots of things are heating up in the financial markets right now. Scott Bessent going out, calling out the obvious that we do have an issue with the trade imbalance with China. Trump announced today that he will potentially be bringing down the tariffs against China, which are currently stated at 145%. They have not been lowered yet, but he's letting them know that he is willing to lower them if they're willing to play ball. And at the same exact time today, we have Scott Bessent out there calling out China directly through the IMF as well. Other big news going on in crypto today. 14 years ago, Satoshi sent his final message. I've moved on to other things. Bitcoin is in good hands. And speaking of Satoshi Nakamoto, Bitcoin holdings are now above $100 billion. That's right. Satoshi, if he's alive, he could come back and he could be a 100 billionaire just like that with Bitcoin. And for all of you Hexicans out there that love the Hex and Pulse chain, SEC has dropped the fraud case against Hex founder Richard Hart. And this was a funny way to post this. Cointelegraph, we already talked about it a little bit, but the official Trump token is up 45% after Trump dinner announcement. Obviously, it had a nice surge to the upside today. But then they have this picture right here of all the McDonald's dinner, which obviously the dinners are going to be much more elaborate. Well, at least I would hope that it's going to be much more elaborate. And we got the article we'll be covering on that here in a second. This was for one of the college football teams when they won the national championship. They ordered all of this McDonald's food. Also in big news, Sol Strategies announces a $500 million convertible note facility to buy Solana. So the same thing that MicroStrategy is doing with Bitcoin, Sol Strategies is doing that with Solana, obviously. But then also on top of the MicroStrategy Bitcoin buying hack as a company, Justin Jack Mallers to be the CEO of SoftBank, Cantor, Tether, and Bitfinex's multi-billion-dollar acquisition vehicle. The company said it is built to accumulate Bitcoin. So as we've been talking for a very long time, lots of very positive things fundamentally in the news. Also, a very interesting post here. I'm not going to go into this for your time, but this is something you should go read. I'll go ahead and share this on my profile here. This was a crazy thread Why was Klaus Schwab, the godfather of globalism, pushed out of the World Economic Forum at 55? His own staff blew the whistle on him. Here's what they exposed and why it shatters the Great Reset. So before we jump into the articles, let's look at the financial news that came out today. We did have the manufacturing and services PMI. Manufacturing came out above the 49.0 number at 50.7, so it's in the green. It was a beat. However, services PMI, it was not a beat. Even though it was a mixed positive, negative news day for that, the Dow Jones had a pretty significant day to the upside yesterday, unfortunately fell to the downside. It is currently sitting on the 10 exponential moving average. The Dow is on the daily sitting in bearish posture at the moment. As we can see, we crossed down below our bullish sideline here, the Wolfpack indicator, back on February 24th, and been running in the red down below zero line for US 30. Tomorrow, we have a very, very important day for both traditional finance and Bitcoin. Unemployment claims will be coming out. There is a forecast to have 222,000 unemployment claims. If it is less than that, we should see a nice move to the upside, unless some crazy news about tariffs comes out tomorrow. Heading over to our first main article here today. First up is XRP Futures are officially live on Coinbase derivatives as of April 21st, 2025. And this is a huge deal for traders. So what are XRP futures? Well, they're contracts that let you bet on the future price of XRP without owning it. Think of it like a high stakes game where you can profit whether the price goes up or down. Coinbase is offering two types: standard contracts for big players representing 10,000 XRP and nano contracts for retail traders at just 500 XRP per contract, worth about $1,000. So if you're someone who's wanting to jump into trading futures of XRP, that is now available on Coinbase, which is exciting. Now, if you are wanting to trade futures of every other coin out there, essentially, you can also head over to Blowfin. The link is down in the description below. If you go through our link, you do get a 10% bonus for your first deposit as a thank you for signing up. So you can trade futures on Coinbase for XRP now. And if you are interested in trading other coins, head over to the link down in the description and join up with Blowfin. So why would you choose XRP futures over just buying XRP? Well, you get leverage. Futures often allow you to control a large position with a relatively small amount of capital. Plus, you could hedge. If you're already holding XRP and expect short-term volatility, futures can be used to protect your portfolio. You can also use it for speculations. Futures allows you to take both long and short positions, and no wallet storage needed. Buying XRP requires you to secure wallet and managing private keys, which carries risks like hacking or loss. You also get liquidity, accessibility. Futures markets often have high liquidity, making it easier to enter and exit positions. Some exchanges offer XRP futures with lower barriers than XRP on other platforms, especially in regions with regulatory restrictions and cash settlement. Many XRP futures are cash settled, meaning you settle profit or loss in fiat or stablecoins without handling XRP itself. So the reason that this matters is this move brings XRP to Wall Street's doorstep. With Coinbase's regulated platform and the recent SEC settlement with Ripple, XRP is gaining serious legitimacy. Posts on X are buzzing with users stating that this could attract institutional money, think hedge funds and big banks. But here's the catch. Futures are risky, so you could lose big if you don't know what you're doing, especially with leverage. And as we've been talking and following, we'd already talked about the Bitcoin ETF inflows. This is also going to bring more liquidity to XRP. So if you are an active trader, XRP futures could be a great way to capitalize on price swings. But if you're new, stick to buying XRP or long-term, wait for more clarity for ETF approvals. Speaking of ETFs, let's jump over to these Bitcoin ETFs. And also remember, none of this information is financial advice, just financial entertainment and education. So the Bitcoin ETFs are definitely making waves. As we've been talking about, US spot Bitcoin ETFs saw $912 million in inflow, 500 times the 2025 daily average and 11.5 times the all-time average since their launch in January 2024. And this happened as Bitcoin climbed a 6-week high above $93,000 today. So as we take a look here at the chart, US spot ETF net inflows, we can see some pretty gnarly spikes to the upside for Bitcoin inflows, but this is absolutely crazy. Nearly $1 billion in a single day of net inflows for Bitcoin. ETFs are a big deal because this will let traditional investors buy Bitcoin without touching crypto exchanges. And this massive inflow shows Wall Street's betting big on Bitcoin, especially after Trump's pro-crypto policies that we've been talking about, like the strategic Bitcoin reserve. Unlike usual, where BlackRock's ETF dominates, this time inflows spread across multiple funds, signaling broad confidence, but ETF performance is tied to Bitcoin's price, so volatility is still a risk. And wrapping us up here, Trump's Memecoin just skyrocketed over 52% in a single day, jumping from $9.30 all the way to $14.20. President Trump announced an exclusive dinner for the top 220 token holders on May 22nd at his Washington, D.C. golf club. The top 25 even get a private reception with him. This news sent the market into a frenzy, with some saying it signals the end of the crypto bear market, especially as Bitcoin hit $93,000. Now, this is really interesting, right? Because in reality, we all thought that Trump launching his coin and then Melania coin kind of ruined it. But as we know, that was the tippity top, right? Trump launches a coin. Next day, Melania launches a coin. Over the next several weeks to months now, we've been in a free fall to the downside. So is Trump signaling both the top and the bottom? We're going to find out as we continue to track this, obviously, but that's very, very interesting to take into consideration. And Trump still ranks in the top 10 for trading activity, besides being listed on major exchanges, including Binance, Bybit, OKX, Coinbase, Upbit, Kraken, and often promoted on social media by Trump. The Memecoin holds an impressive share in derivatives markets. Notably, its futures open interest stands at $700 million, a top 10 overall. But here's the red flag, though. Analysts are warning that this could be a pump and dump. The coin's lost 90% of its value since January, and a single event might not sustain the rally. Compare it to Shiba Inu, which has $8 billion market cap with no real utility. Some argue Trump's backing could push Trump to $30, but others say that it's risky because it doesn't have any traditional fundamentals. Now, it's also interesting because will this be some of the utility that the Trump coin offers? That's the question. All right, jumping over to XRP real quick. Earlier when I was getting ready for the video, I put this channel together. As you can see, the top of the channel, we are still in a downtrend. In fact, we won't be out of this downtrend until we break above 250, which coincidentally goes along with our spider lines that we've been talking about. Our $2.50 spider line comes from January 29th. We drew a ray from the top of the weekly candle of January 29th with the pivot point of the high from April 2021. And that gives us points into the future. This is on the weekly charts. I do have a 3-day one I'll show you as well here in just a second. But as you can see, if we can break out of this channel and turn it into a bullish market structure outside of this channel, that would be at the $2.50 mark. Now, interestingly enough, though, if we were to take out this anomaly here, which was where Trump made the announcement that XRP was going to be in the strategic reserve, and we slightly adjust this angle here, we are actually at a potential breakout level right now. And when we take a look at our short-term momentum wave on the daily charts here, the shaft trend cycle, we are definitely bullish. In fact, we may need to be resetting back down to a zero level again here shortly, which also coincides with potential rejection off of our $2.23 spider line here. We are getting extremely close to breaking above our Wolfpack zero line, indicating bullish momentum coming back for XRP. We've been in bearish momentum based on this long-term indicator since February 4th. Obviously, we were already in the downtrend before then, but we did get confirmation here on February 4th. Will we get confirmation today or tomorrow that we have moved back into bullish posture for XRP that also coincides with breaking out of this downward bearish channel? As we take a look here at Bitcoin, we can see our short-term momentum wave capped out at 100 already, and our long-term momentum wave has confirmed the breakout. We were talking about this 2 days ago when it just got above here. It has confirmed bullish structure now on the daily. We can also see our moving averages are starting to cross up to the upside. The one thing that we are worried about is a potential reset of our short-term momentum back to zero like we saw here. But now that we're in the green, price action should not be as severe to the downside. However, we do have an extreme fair value gap that needs to be filled back to essentially the 10 exponential moving average or the $88,000 level. That is a potential. Now, when we also switch over from standard candles to Heikin-Ashi candles, you can see that in this area right here, before this clear drop to the downside, we have a green candle that is what we have marked off right now for an area of interest, which will be a strong resistance. And in fact, we can see that it just barely punctured into that level yesterday. Once we break and clear this level all the way up at 99,000, then we'll see a surge back up, potentially back to the new all-time high, 110,000, 120,000. Also, as we talked about yesterday, we have movement on the weekly short-term momentum wave to the upside. And if we go back and see when the last time we had a reset for the weekly chart, it was here on September 9th, and we rode this thing up to these highs. Then we had a reset, which we've been in now for a prolonged period of time on the weekly chart, but we are making our move to the upside. So on Bitcoin, if we take the high to the swing low and we take a look at our move to the upside, we could be looking at the next move to the 1.618 on the Fibonacci extension, be getting us to $130,000. Jumping back to XRP, we have not had that official break to the upside on the short-term momentum waves here yet. We will have that confirmation next week if we can retain the movement to the upside bullish posture for XRP. So that's very important information, but what is going on? What should I worry about right now if I'm someone who's wanting to track the markets over the next couple of days? Well, first and foremost, resistance, $2.23. After we break that, the next move is getting us to $2.50. That will also be a confirmation of new market structure. We already have new market structure because we officially have a new higher high, but if we get more confirmation moving to the upside. If we fail, and this was just a pump to the upside, fake out, not a breakout, we will be returning back down to support level. The first support levels here are $2.04. If we lose that, we'll be coming back to $1.90. If for some reason we continue a drop, there is a potential of coming back to $1.50. We do not want to see that happen, but you got to play it both ways.
Hey, bull runners, check this out. If you want to learn how to find the next 10x, 50x, or even 100x altcoin in this video, listen to this. Our research team posted GOAT on the 13th of October of 2024 when it was right at a penny, and since then it rallied to over $1 and is currently still up over 5,000%. That's like turning $1,000 into over $50,000. Our team called Pendle at only a $16 million market cap, or 16 cents, back on February 18th of 2023, all the way back here, and since then it's rallied up over 4,000%. That's a 40x. It's like turning $1,000 into over $40,000. Our team also called BitTensor Tau September 15th, 2022, before the token was ever even launched. And since then, Tau has rallied over 2,000%. That's a 20x. Our team even said Solana is most likely to be one of the easiest trades next year, and this was posted December 29th, 2022, on the day that Solana bottomed out at around $8. And since then, Solana looks like it's up over 2,500%. That's a 25x. It's like turning $1,000 into over $25,000. And the bull run is just getting started. The list goes on and on and on. Our team called Sui, Ondo, and even some of the biggest cult-based meme coins like MOG back in July 20th of 2023, the day that MOG launched. So if you want to learn how our team is finding these altcoins before they explode, we just launched Altcoin Pro University, where our research team gives you real-time altcoin picks with explosive potential for this bull run, along with 100+ expert curated classes crafted by industry experts to discover these gems yourself, on top of our live weekly calls every single week for in-depth crypto market analysis and daily updates. And that's just a fraction of what we offer inside of Altcoin Pro University. Just go through the link in the description below, get in right now, watch the 26-minute video covering everything that Altcoin Pro University offers,